That has to be the quickest that I've ever seen an episode of a show retcon away a previous episode. Because just getting it out of the way right off the bat, the depiction of the interior of Star's wand and of Star's spells is completely different here than it was in the previous episode. I'm not going to go into more detail about it than that in this review, but I could if I wanted to. The two episodes cannot coexist, and this one being the weightier of the two, I'm going to give priority to this episode. As for this episode, Into the Wand, once again Season 2 delivers with one of the best episodes of the show. Star's spells, which in this case are not depicted as sentient creatures, have been coming out of her wand wrong. Her narwhal blasts, for example, are weak and the narwhals themselves seem sickly. So she goes to Glosric for help, and he reveals that something must be corrupting her magic, something inside her wand, and suggests that the only way to fix it is to actually go inside of her wand and find something that doesn't belong there. He describes the interior of her wand as something of a metaphysical space that reflects her memories. Therefore, the world of the interior of her wand itself doesn't have to make logical sense, but everything in it should be something that exists in her memories already. So Star convinces Glosric to send her inside the wand, even though he has been told by her mother that she isn't old enough to do so yet, and she goes on a search through her past memories for something that doesn't belong, and we get to see some really interesting insights into the lore of this show. Really, for the first time ever. At first, this episode starts off like any other episode of the show. Something is wrong, Star has to deal with whatever is wrong, but she's acting like a child. She isn't listening to anything that Glosric says, she's not taking the situation as seriously as she should be. But once she gets inside of her wand, things feel heavy, things feel serious almost immediately. Glosric goes with her, first of all, and immediately begins going on about how she's distracted, they could become separated, and how dangerous that would be. So, of course, Star allows herself to be distracted, and they're separated, without either of them actually having to move at all, which just shows how dangerous this place can be if it can separate people without them even having to get lost first. It also takes her way too long to really think about what Glosric said and realize exactly what it means for something to not belong in a place built around someone's memories. She keeps seeing things that belong to other people, but that she already knew about ahead of time, and assuming that they're the thing that doesn't belong. It isn't until much later, when she really stops and thinks about it, that she realizes that that's just not the case. There's also the threat of slightly time-displaced versions of Star, kind of like future echoes of herself, which will eventually overwrite her. And while they are still her, that's still a pretty terrifying idea. It's kind of like how if you managed to create a clone of yourself who was your same age and had all of your same memories, and then you died, you would still be dead even though the clone still exists. It's not like you that you are would continue to exist in them. You'd be gone, and there'd just be somebody identical to you walking around in your place. That is an existentially terrifying thing to think about, and seeing it visualized here in such an innocent way was genuinely frightening. I think that was actually my favorite thing about this episode, is how it managed to give Star's magic real weight and make it feel like a genuinely threatening thing worth being afraid of, even from Star's perspective. This was my problem with the previous episode. I told you I wasn't going to dwell on that, but I'm going to jump back to it for a second. In the previous episode, her stars were visualized as effectively populations of people, with all the limits that come with populations of people. They can die, they can run out. It made her abilities seem so much less impressive. This episode does the exact opposite. You get the sense that her magic can do anything, and the only reason there's any limit put on it whatsoever is for her own protection, and that's fantastic. We also got this room with a bunch of tapestries of past rulers of Muni. Some battle mage queen whose name I don't quite remember because she didn't leave much of an impact on me, aside from her design, who had a really cool design. It looked like she was the one who primarily did the battling of monsters after the kingdom was first established. A woman called Selena the Shy, whose design I really loved. Someone named Eclipsa, Queen of Darkness, who took a monster for a husband. A monster who looked surprisingly like Tom, which I thought was interesting. He also kind of looked like Raven from Teen Titans' dad, Trigon, which I thought was neat. And then, of course, Star's own mother, and her defeat of Toffee. That was the coolest thing, because now we know exactly what beef Toffee has with the royal family. We also get to see in the tapestry his finger being blasted off by Star's mom. There's a whole history here that they keep hinting to us, and I certainly hope we get the full story soon, because it's really, really intriguing me. But the most interesting thing about the room, I think, was that we got to see Star's tapestry being woven, which was such a cool idea, such a neat way of conceptualizing the fact that her story is still being told. And all throughout all of the tapestry is the one common factor, aside from the wand itself, but the wand is shown to be in a different form for each ruler, of course. Alongside all of them is Glosric. This guy has seen some stuff, and he's pretty freaking powerful all on his own, and that doesn't leave me with warm, fuzzy feelings, I gotta say. Something about the guy just doesn't sit well with me. I can't really put my finger on what it is, but especially in an episode like this that was vaguely disconcerting, in all of the best ways, mind you, that sensation was kind of bumped up to 11. This is when the severed finger in the tapestry, the Toffee's severed finger in the tapestry, actually pops out and becomes a physical thing. Star realizes that that absolutely should not be in her memory. She might remember seeing the depiction of it on the tapestry when she was a kid, but seeing the actual finger, that shouldn't be a thing. And sure enough, she is able to get her hands on it before all of her displaced time echoes likewise get their hands on it and erase her from existence. That's still a thing that was in this episode. And when she returns to the real world, she has the finger in her possession. A literal piece of Toffee was inside her memories, corrupting her magic. That's creepy and awesome. This is the kind of episode that I want to see from the writers in the category of visualizing Star's powers. The previous episode was so lackluster in doing so, but this one, this is everything I could have asked for. Overall, not much is accomplished here. They just added a couple of bricks to the foundation of this unfolding plot, and yet I still loved every minute of this. It played with our expectations by giving us a Star at the beginning who is very much like the Star we've been seeing through the entire series so far, the irresponsible, childish Star, and then ending on Star who genuinely seems to have learned her lesson this time. It seems to have genuinely sunk in this time that she is in fact not mature enough to be dealing with some of the things that she has to deal with. That she is going to have to mature further. Not even physically, almost exclusively mentally, in order to be ready for what's coming. I don't know what it is that's coming, but you can feel that something is coming. With the exception of the occasional really fillery episode, that has been very clear over this entire season. Something is coming, and I can't wait until it gets here. This is absolutely one of the best episodes of the show overall so far. But as per usual, guys, I'd like to know if you have seen Star vs. Force of Evil Season 2, Episode 12A, Into the Wand. What did you think of it? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.